Hi, I'm Bob Dailey, and this is Gulf Coast Gardening with Nature's Way Resources. Today we're here with John Ferguson, who is a soil scientist and the owner of Nature's Way Resources, and we're going to talk about mulch. Hi, John.
How you doing, Bob?
Good.
Glad to have you here this morning.
Glad to be here. See, you got some mulch down here. Tell us about this.
Well, this is one of our display gardens, which is totally organic. We use what's called a native mulch. It's been composted here. And it makes the plants happy. It's safe. There's no chemicals. It's naturally composted to give it the brown color. And as it decomposes, it breaks clay apart and makes rich soils.
Oh, you and I were talking earlier about different kinds of mulch. And I see that this is all organic material that's going to break down eventually. There are all kinds of different mulches, aren't there?
Yes, they are, Bob. There's probably 20 different types sold in the greater Houston area and along the Gulf Coast.
And I see some like colored mulch, for instance. I see a lot of that in this area. Is that a good thing to put on lawns?
It's probably the worst thing you can singly do for your flower beds.
Right.
We know in soil science that healthy soils have 30 carbon atoms to 1 nitrogen all over the world. Soils that are healthy, fertile, productive. To get the dyes to stick to the colored mulch, you've got to use raw wood, which is over 500 to 1 carbon nitrogen.
I see.
So the first thing it does, it pulls nitrogen and other nutrients out of your soil, stressing your plant, so you get lots of insect and disease problems. It becomes hydrophobic, so it repels water. So when it rains, you turn on your sprinklers, water hits it and runs off and doesn't go into your soil, which again stresses your plants.
Right.
Third is it's slow to break down, so it does not feed the microbes in the soil. So you get more soil pathogens and diseases because you're not taking care of your soil.
Sure.
And I can go on it, but then some of the dyes, the red's not too bad health-wise, but like the black dye is usually carbon black. It's a known carcinogen.
Right. And we talked about bark mulch. How does that figure out in our yards and plants?
Well, for years, bark was, a byproduct of the forest industry.
Sure.
But the reason bark doesn't rot on trees is because it's got chemicals in it to kill microbes.
Okay.
Pine bark, you can think of terpenes or turpentine and phenolics and waxes. We got tannins from hardwood. So one is you put in your yard, it kills the microbes, it makes plants healthy and creates soil structure.
Okay.
2, it's water repellent. So again, you could water your yard, but it never gets into the soil and runs off, so you have to run your sprinklers a lot more. 3, it does not improve soil. It does not have nutrients to feed your plants as it decomposes.
Sure.
So it doesn't create soil structure. Also, it's highly flammable. So if you get an ember from a neighbor's house on fire or something, we've learned a few years ago that these embers can actually land on your mulch, catch it on fire, and it'll run right up to down the flower bed and catch your house on fire.
Why would I want to put mulch on my plant beds, for instance?
Well, if you use a good mulch, it helps plants grow healthier, so you don't need any chemicals. The right type of mulch, like a good native mulch, will break down the clay and turn it into rich loam. It keeps the soil cool, stops moisture from evaporating. You've talked about evapotranspiration a lot.
Sure, yeah.
It just eliminates that. Also, then when it does rain, because it's not hydrophobic like other mulches, water soaks in, so you capture it. Also, as a native mulch decomposes, it forms humus. And humus can actually absorb water molecules out of the air, the humidity in the air, then pass it to the plant. So sometimes a plant can get 20-30% of their water needs just from having that type of mulch.
That's interesting right there, because you could actually save water by using mulch. What about things like weeds and other things like that?
Well, that's one of the things. Many weeds have to have light to germinate. So when we keep the soil covered with at least 2 inches, 3 inches better of mulch, they never get the light, they don't germinate. And the ones that do are easy to pull out.
And soil temperature, does it ameliorate the soil temperature?
Quite a bit. Like, during the summertime, the top of the mulch may be 120, 130 degrees.
Sure.
You go down 3 inches and it's probably only 80 degrees.
Ah, okay. So, and in the wintertime, it would do just the opposite, right?
It keeps it warm so the roots can grow and continue growing. Then when spring gets here, you get a faster burst of growth.
John, this is really good education here. I know you have a great mulch operation over here. Could we go look at it?
Sure, let's go take a look.
Okay. John, behind us, I see a big pile of green and brown stuff. Can you explain this to us?
Yeah, Bob, this is it's prunings from trees,
Uh-huh.
bushes. Well, when we make native mulch, it just means mulch made from species of plants indigenous to the area.
Right.
Now, there's two ways. Some people like to grind up the whole tree, the trunk of the tree, but the trunk of the tree has that 500 to 1 carbon nitrogen, and it expands. So most soil yards like to do this because they get more material to sell,
Right.
but it's not necessarily good for customers.
Sure.
And if you look at this material, why do deer, beaver, squirrels eat branches and limbs for food?
Because it's nutritious.
Yeah, vitamins, minerals, protein. So when we make our mulch, we grind this up and make a mulch from it. We capture the nutrient-rich portion of the plant material.
I see.
This probably averages about 120 to 1 carbon nitrogen. We compost it. The heat of the composting kills all your pathogens, kills any weed seeds that might have been present.
Sure.
And it shrinks the material. And in the process turns it a deep chocolate brown. It drives the microbial content sky high, and it concentrates all those nutrients. So when you use this type of mulch on your flower beds, so as it decomposes, it's feeding your soil, it's feeding the microbes, and it's creating soil structure.
I see here that I don't see any pallets or anything in here. This is all native plants.
Yeah.
So you don't use any of this discarded lumber or anything like that.
Now, the discarded pallets and stuff are usually treated with chemicals and stuff that are bad for humans, bad for animals, children.
Right.
It makes low quality mulch, so we don't do it. Our focus is on quality.
I see.
And it's cheaper in the long run.
Let's go over and look at your other process. How you
Okay.
transfer this to mulch.
Let's go.
John, we're standing in front of something out here. Can you tell us what this is?
Yeah, that's a tub grinder, Bob.
Okay.
It's how we take this raw branches and limbs and turn it into mulch.
So it grinds everything up that you've already ground and turns it into this beautiful mulch out here.
Correct. That's the first stage of turning it, a waste product, into something useful.
And then what happens after it reaches this point?
Well, we take it from here, we get it wet like a wet sponge, we put it in piles, and we let it compost for over a year.
So the wetness will inoculate it with or help grow the microbes.
Right. They have to have a moist environment for the microbes to grow and reproduce.
So what's the difference between this and, let's say, compost? Why would I...
Okay, compost is usually made from different materials. It has less carbon in it.
I see.
And it's been composted longer, food waste, leaves, and it's turned into almost pure humus.
I see.
This has a lot of lignin and cellulose in it, so it's slower to decompose, and it has a different chemical, biological structure. So compost is generally designed to be mixed into the soil, or we use it as a mulch on turf grass.
Oh, okay. So you could actually spread it on turf grass after you aerate it.
A lot of people do, and it's what we call top dressing. If you use an organic fertilizer and you top dress compost, using compost as a mulch, you control brown patch, take all, St. Augustine decline, and usually the first year you see 50% less water. You get the same results, and by your fourth, fifth year, 90% less water.
So this mulch and compost can really change the chemical constitution of the soil and just make it richer and better for plants to grow.
It gets rid of a lot of the insect pests. You know, when you use this type mulch, you get less fire ants, you get less insect problems.
John, I want to thank you so much.
Well, certainly.
It's been an interesting tour, and we really love this area.
Well, you want to see a final product?
I sure do.
Let's go.
John, here we are at a finished mulch product. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, this is the native mulch I was talking about.
Right.
Those branches and limbs we saw being grinded earlier.
Sure.
This is after they composted for a year. This is what they look like. It turns into a very rich, almost black, deep chocolate brown product.
And this hasn't been dyed or anything. This
Nope.
is actually the color of what good mulch will look like.
Correct. It's got small particles, bigger particles, and this will turn into humus, which holds water.
And so this will let water through.
Yep.
It'll control weeds. It'll keep the temperature of the soil at some kind of constant to keep the roots and the bottoms of the plants from burning. This is gorgeous stuff. And this eventually will become compost.
Yeah, eventually, and humus after that.
And humus, yeah.
And humus can hold 15 times its weight in water. So as we get it into the soil, the earthworms, the microbes mix it.
Sure.
That when it rains or we irrigate it, just holds the water. So that's why we don't have to water much.
This is beautiful.
Yeah. And it smells
Smells great too, yeah.
And it just makes plants grow. Like I said, it'll turn heavy clay into loam over time, or turn sand where it can hold water. Turns it into a sponge where it holds water.
So this is something people should put on their bedding plants, or even, I guess they could put it on their lawns, right?
Well, it's a little woody for lawns because you got some bigger pieces in it.
Yeah, but they could put it on their
flower beds.
Flower beds. This would be
vegetable
wonderful.
garden stuff.
Yeah,
and it just it saves money in the long run because you get so much healthier lawns. All the other problems that you spend money on go away.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense.
So it's one of the most cost-effective mulch, and it's the highest quality mulch one can buy.
I love it.
So,
John, thank you so much. We
my
really
pleasure.
do appreciate it.
All right,
and,
Bob.
We'll come back and visit you sometime.
Please do.
Okay. This is Gulf Coast Gardening. Stay tuned for more with Nature's Way Resources. And remember, you can come out to Nature's Way Resources for all your gardening and plant needs.